Okay, so what if one of the greatest fantasy epics ever written wasn't really about wizards and gunslingers at all? Seriously, what if Stephen King's The Dark Tower was actually a kind of hidden curriculum, a user's manual for understanding reality itself? Well, that's the wild idea we're going to explore today. Let's dive in.
It is, without a doubt, one of the most iconic opening lines in all of literature. But our source material here suggests this isn't just kicking off a story. No, it's a statement about an eternal cycle, a loop that defines not just the main character, Roland, but maybe all of us. And that really brings us to the heart of this whole explainer. What if this massive, sprawling saga is less of a story and more of a textbook? A detailed guide to the architecture of consciousness, the mechanics of what we call destiny, and the ultimate, crucial lesson behind any great purpose.
So, to really get this curriculum, we first have to unpack the blueprint of the universe as it's laid out in the story. This interpretation argues that the world of the Dark Tower isn't just some made-up fantasy setting, it's a symbolic map of consciousness itself.
First up, the tower itself. Now, this isn't a building you can just climb. Think of it more like the axle at the center of a spinning wheel. It's that one single point where every reality, every timeline, every single possibility you can imagine all meet. It's the absolute linchpin holding all of existence together.
And if the tower is the axle, well, the beams are the spokes of that giant wheel. They're these invisible, energetic force lines that give reality its shape, its structure. You know, the source material suggests that when you get a powerful gut feeling or experience a wild synchronicity, you're actually sensing these beams, you're beam walking.
Okay, so how does this giant cosmic structure actually show up in our world? Through things like the rose. The rose is basically the tower in miniature, a physical anchor for that infinite nexus point, hidden right out in the open. And according to this idea, we all have roses in our lives. People, projects, passions, things we just know we have to protect.
All right, so if that's the architecture, what are the rules of the game? What are the principles that make this whole thing run? Well, that brings us to Destiny's spiral wheel, and these two amazing concepts, Ka and Ka-tet.
Ka is a wheel. It's the famous line used to describe destiny in this series. And, you know, it sounds a little grim, right? Like you're just trapped on a Ferris wheel of fate, going around and around forever. But what's so cool here is that this analysis makes a critical distinction.
See, Ka is not a circle, it's a spiral, and that changes everything. A circle is just mindless, endless repetition. You're stuck. But a spiral is evolution. You might come around to the same challenges, sure, but each time you're a little higher up, a little wiser. It's not a prison of fate. It's a curriculum for growth.
And here's the best part. You don't walk this spiral alone. A Ka-tet is a group of people brought together by destiny, by Ka, for a purpose that's way bigger than any single one of them. It's like a soul family, a consciousness network where everyone's unique skills just click together perfectly.
Now let's zoom in on the man at the center of it all, Roland Deschain, the Gunslinger, because he is the perfect embodiment of a sacred mission, and also its most dangerous, fatal flaw.
The Gunslinger's creed? I mean, it's such a powerful statement of intent. The idea is that your consciousness, your heart, that's the real weapon, not just some tool in your hand. And Roland's quest to save the tower? On the surface, it is the noblest duty you can imagine. But this is the whole point. This is the central question of Roland's entire painful journey. What happens when that beautiful, noble service curdles and turns into a destructive, all-consuming obsession? That's the flaw that keeps him trapped on his spiral. And man, this slide just lays it out so perfectly. There is a world of difference between serving the tower and trying to grasp it for yourself, between a healthy sacrifice for the good of all and just discarding people to get what you want. You see, for Roland, the mission becomes a replacement for love instead of an expression of it. And that, right there, changes everything.
And all of this leads to that infamous, super controversial ending of the series. But this interpretation sees it as the ultimate lesson. A lesson about one thing: release, letting go.
So think about it. After 8 massive books of struggle, Roland finally makes it to the top of the tower. He has sacrificed his friends, his love, literally everything. And what's his big reward? He gets thrown right back to the beginning, back in the desert, to do it all over again. I mean, it feels completely pointless.
But what if it's not a punishment? What if it's just another chance to get it right? Because as we see in those final moments of the story, The next go-around is not going to be an exact copy of the last one.
Because this time he has the Horn of Eld, an artifact he had let fall at a battle years ago, choosing the quest over honoring his fallen friend. The horn is the proof. It's the physical symbol that he's finally learned something. It represents remembering love, connection, his Ka-tet, while he's on his mission. It's the key that finally proves his journey as a spiral, not a circle.
So why does any of this matter to us? I mean, it's a cool story, but what's the takeaway?
Well, this analysis argues that this isn't just Roland's story, it's our story. Because here's the big reveal from this whole framework. You are Roland. We are all on a quest for our own personal tower, for our purpose. We all face that exact same choice between a mission that's driven by love and one that becomes a destructive obsession. We're all walking that spiral, trying to learn the lesson with every single turn.
And the story gives us the tools, what this analysis calls consciousness technologies. Beam walking is all about trusting those synchronicities in your life. Ka-tet formation is about seeing and honoring those essential, powerful connections with people. And tower walking, that's the big one. It's about serving your purpose with everything you have, but without being attached to the outcome. It's the art of letting go.
Which really just leaves us with one last, crucial question. In your own quest, on your own journey up the spiral, what's your horn? What's the one thing, the person, the memory, the value, that you cannot forget, even when you're chasing your most important goal? In other words, are you carrying your horn?